Feel Good Talk to focus on mind, body, soul, and business. You are now tuning into Let's Talk About It with your girl Izzi Meditates and your girl Kendra Moore. How are you, Miss
What's
Kendra?
up? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday!
Whoop,
We are here
whoop.
with our special guest today. We have not one, but two in the house. Two in the house. Up at the top, I think might be your right, is Shana Gourdine. She is a speaker and author. She's here with us today. And we also have Laurinda Andujar, who is also a transformation coach. And so we are excited to have these two young ladies in the house to talk about a topic we'll talk about later. But I'd like to know how your week is going. How's everyone's week going?
I'll start with our guests.
Yes.
My week is very busy.
Always, right? Shada
Yeah,
is
I'm
a
not
busy
surprised,
lady.
Shana. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not surprised. She's like everywhere all at the same time. I'm like,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, I can definitely say this week I had no nonstop, no sitting down. It was no breaks this week. It's been just going.
Yeah,
So all I can say is just God bless.
that's right. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
And how about you, Miss Laurinda? How was your week?
My week was very productive. I had a shift this week in every way possible. I moved back to a different city, get my son into a new school. Had some things going on with the business, a couple of speaking engagements, working on some things for my book. So I had a really productive week. I'm tired.
Yeah, I know, right?
So y'all both look very fresh. You can't
I
even
know
tell.
all the time.
Can't even tell.
I think there's like this shift in the universe where I don't know where we're called to do something, and so it's super busy. Like right now, it just seems like for the last month,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of goes into October and November and December, and then before you know it, you're so busy. 2022 be right here, looking you in the face.
I'm serious.
Coming in quick and fast.
Yes. Well, I am honored to have you both here today. Our topic is one that I'm passionate about. It's turning pain into purpose and passion. Sometimes we go through things and we're just like so stunned by it. There's a huge shift and we're just like paralyzed and we don't know what to do. And if we're not in the right frame of mind, we don't do anything and we kind of miss out on what we're supposed to do. So today we're here to talk about turning pain into purpose and passion. And so the first quote that I like to give to you guys touched my heart. It was holding on to pain, guilt, or shame is the glue that binds us to the situation we want to escape. And so we stick to it and it sticks to us and we can't move forward. And so my first question would be, how did you guys, and we can each take a turn and discuss, how did you turn your pain into passion? But wait, before we even do that, Shana and Laurinda, I'd like you to tell me a little bit about yourselves, because I kind of skipped up, because I know you, but my peoples out there don't know you.
I'm gonna let Lala go first, and then
I like that name.
Thank you. Yes, call me Lala.
I love it.
So my name is Laurinda Andujar, but affectionately known as Lala. That's what everybody calls me. I am a transformational leadership coach. I am a grief recovery specialist. I am a certified John Maxwell speaker and coach, an author, a serial entrepreneur, a mompreneur, and child of God.
Amen.
And we welcome you. So happy to have you here.
And
Miss Shana, we want to know about you. I know about you, but tell everybody.
Absolutely. Everyone, I am Shana, the author of these two beautiful books called The Mask Behind the Mask. I am a poet, a spoken word artist. I am a speaker. I am a podcast host. I am a magazine writer. I'm an advocate for domestic violence. I am a life coach that helps with trauma and self-love. And I'm an entrepreneur as well, because I sell paparazzi jewelry on top of it. I'm a single mom and just a woman of many hats, and be a vessel to just teach people how to heal after trauma and learn how to love themselves to the soul.
Yes, I love it. I love it. This energy right here, this energy that's going out is just amazing. And I know it happened for a purpose. And so, with that being said, I had to get that. I was like, you know what? I'm forgetting something because I know you guys, but everybody else didn't know you. So, how in a painful situation that was just terrible, just terribly painful for you, how did you move on? And what did you do to get past the pain, to move into purpose and passion?
Um, I'll take that question first.
Okay.
With me, it took some time. First, I
Yeah.
had to dig and figure out how am I going to work through this pain, because you go through so many emotions when it comes to the trauma and the tragedy. And it's like, you have to learn like how to move on to the other side of it. So
Yeah.
my first steps was actually one, forgiving myself and
Nice.
taking it to the passion of, okay, if I want to get over and through the mess and be able to use it as a passion and a purpose, I got to walk through it and go through it to then heal through it to then teach somebody else to do it.
Right. Right. That's right.
All
And how
right.
about you, Laurinda?
So for me, I had to acknowledge where I was in my
Yeah.
mess. And I had to embrace myself and love myself in spite of it. I had to give myself some grace to be able to turn that pain into purpose. I had to get mentors around me that could help me work through the stuff that I was stuck in. And then
Yeah.
I had to seek counseling on from a spiritual level, from a professional level. I actually had to go to a psychiatrist, a
Right.
psychologist to help me work through all of those things, to be able to face myself and to look myself in the mirror. And then I had to get to a place where I was okay with being alone with myself,
Yeah.
to look in the mirror and see the ugliness that was in front of me, to address it so that I can go on and see the beauty that was in my mess. So that's
Wow.
how I began to turn pain into purpose. I had to see that I was worthy of not self-sabotaging myself, and that I was worthy of all that was good that was being withheld from me. And I had to understand that a lot of the things that was happening to me and through me had nothing to do with the devil, had nothing to do with anybody else. It
Right.
rests solely in me. So that's where I got from pain to purpose.
Wow. Yeah. I like that. And it's so crazy how both of you have two different experiences. You know what I mean? You have
Mm-hmm.
two different experiences. For me, I took the hard road. I just was in the painful situation, sat in it, laid in it. You know what I mean? Washed myself in it. Another painful situation would come up. I did the same thing. And then one day I was just like, dude, I'm tired of like being in this situation. What can I
Right.
do to, to help with pain? Then I got into meditation and transforming my mindset. And it went on from there. And, like you, I had to seek help as far as like, therapy and things like that to kind of look outside of me, or
Right.
have someone that was outside of me help me to look within, because I was so busy with the self negative chatter
Yes,
that I
ma'am.
couldn't even hear what was going. It was so bad, it had gotten to that point, because sometimes we have trauma that's happened to us way back when we were a child, and we don't even know it pops up till later. And so we're trying to deal with that along with other um, things that have happened during this journey. So it was just, yeah, so but I finally got to a point where I had mentors, I had a therapist, I did my meditation, I had a group of people who I trusted and began, because at one point I was just living it all by myself. I
Yeah.
can do it by myself. I'm strong. I'm this, I'm that. I'm Izzy meditates. I don't need anybody to help me. And then
Right.
I hit like rock bottom. It was like, okay, some things have got to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have got to change. But I've read both of your stories, and you two are just amazing. Like, just the vibes you give off. I had kind of jumped into a podcast that you had a couple weeks ago, and it was just so powerful. And I just appreciated being there, and the transparency. We need that in our community, because we've been taught to shut up. You know what I mean? And sit down, and let's not,
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about it. We got to keep everything hush hush. No, we've been through traumatic events. Things have happened. We had to go to therapy. Sometimes people even have to take medication. It's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do to get to that point. And this is the time. This is the shift in which we need to speak out so that we can help women in our community, people in our community in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kendra, she'll come back. We'll just keep on rolling. My next question was, I think you guys kind of touched on the resources, but if you can dig deeper and tell me about what resources you use to help anchor and support yourself, like the deepest ones and the ones that you still are connected with now.
Right.
What were those resources?
Well, me going through domestic violence is a program out here called Unity House. So I used all services that they had available, as far as they had the art program that you could do. You could go through. I went through counseling with them. Then they also had like this walking route where it was called Sprint Through Every Mile, and we used to walk, and it was a way to just get you out and get you motivated to do different things. And then we also used to do like a 5K walk.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was training for a walk, and then it's like, it was just different things that they will allow. And then I had my own therapist outside of that. And then my other thing that I use is that I like writing. So writing was my go-to. It was my go-to, and that's how these books came along. So writing, and then being able to produce workshops to help other people, that was my healing, to be able to use my story and go speak about it. Because as you go through the process and being able to talk about it without still living in it, made it more, of an overcomer instead of just a survivor.
Right.
So using those tools and using arts and crafts and using yoga and meditation and friends, like I found a tribe, like I found a certain people that I could trust with the certain information, because everybody you can't trust with everything, and you have to build a trust with someone and a tribe that could actually pour into you to build you up to be able to then step into your purpose. So the tools of using your tribe, using your spiritual mother and friends that you have, and using the therapists and using the programs that were out here to help me, that's what I use to go through my process.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, did you write as a child?
Yes, I've been writing since I've been 12.
Yeah. And did you find yourself, if you did have any events or traumatic things as a child, did you write as a child still then, or did you just write kind of like for fiction purposes?
Mine was always poetry. It was how I expressed my feelings.
Nice.
So it was always me putting my feelings on paper on how I felt.
Yeah. I love that. And it's sometimes we find these things like later on in life, like, wow, you know what? I used to walk a lot as a child. You know what I mean? And you don't really think about it until like later on in life. You're like, wow, that was my coping mechanism, to go jogging or to go, it's crazy how those things come up. And how about you, Miss Laurinda? Or Lala? I like Lala.
Yeah, so I can definitely relate to Shana with everything that she said. Poetry was definitely my means of escape, because it allowed me to tell my story in a non-judgmental way. So that was important. But the pivotal moment for me to get the help that I need was when I was in high school. I was in the 12th grade, and my high school teacher, Mrs. Susan Rim, took me and two of my peers to see Maya Angelou.
Oh,
and we were up close and personal with her, and she recited "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings." And she told her story, and in that moment something clicked, because I saw myself in her story. And it kind of freed me in a way to start talking about what I felt, my emotions, what I was going through. I mean, it resonated with me so much. And then, at the end, because her mother was sick, she was in St. Petersburg, Florida, she had to leave really quick. So I kind of left a little bit deflated, but at the same time, it ignited something in me to say, you know what, something has to change. I don't have to be anchored and tethered to this pain my entire life. So then as I started getting older, I started looking into it and asking questions of, why do I feel this way? Why am I emotionally strung? Why do these instances spark something in me? And then I went to a grief recovery class where I learned how to be a grief recovery specialist in Philadelphia. And I thought I had it all together until I sat there in that class and I started listening to the methodology and the things that we were taught that were so detrimental to our path to healing. And that led me to just start looking more at what I thought, what I was taught, that tribal information that was passed down to me, that tribal knowledge that was not necessarily the right thing and the right way for my healing and for my path. And then I got a life coach. I have the best life coach on the face of the earth. I just have to say, Dr. Cassandra Parks. And I started spending time with her, and I actually went and got hypnotized.
Nice.
And to help me kind of fight some of the things that I was fighting within myself, because again, I self-sabotaged a lot. So she hypnotized me in a session, and then all of a sudden it's just like life sprang forth, because I no longer had those things that were fighting against me to keep me bound in my situation. And then I found my own path to spirituality. I learned the difference between spirituality and religion. And once that door opened for me, and me starting to love myself in spite of myself, and to see what God saw in me, just the ink of that, to see what it was. That's where my true healing came from. Then the writing just started pouring forth. And then I was able to actually write my story down, like Sheena talked about. And then it was over. It was a wrap.
Wow. Now, as I talked to ask Shana, did you begin writing as a child as well? Or did you come into writing in your teens, college, or most recently?
It was most in my early teens, but I used to do art. I used to draw things out. I used to sing. I actually that's how I met Bo Diddley. And I used to sing. I got to sing for him, and all of, the experiences just started coming out, because art, music, poetry, everything just started to become my release, my way of escaping. And that just, it brought so much out of me. I could sing something, make something up, and just be singing my words into the atmosphere, and it was changing everything around me. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And then Kendra, since you're back, we'll have you, if you have any questions. I love the fact that you had talked about that tribal thing that we have going. It's like a conditioning of things that we think are to be and are like etched in stone, and this is the way it's supposed to be, when it's totally not. And then we have to uncondition ourselves so that we could find who we really are, because we've been conditioned by the schools, we've been conditioned by parents, sometimes not out of a bad thing, it's just something that happens, and we have to fight through all of that, scrap it all away so we can find our true selves. And once you find that, like, you see the world differently. You know what I mean? Completely different than before. So Kendra, did you have any questions or anything?
Yes, I did, actually, because as I was like trying to get back on the computer, I was like watching on on my phone. I was like, oh, these ladies are the bomb.com. But in terms of like a life coach, so I think we should step back a little bit, because we didn't properly introduce you ladies. We just jumped right into the topic. So for those who do not know you, give us a little bit about your background and who you are and what it is that you do, and then we'll jump back in. So we can start with Shana.
Well, I wear a woman of many hats. Like I said before, I am a life coach that deals with life after trauma and loving yourself. I am a motivational speaker. I am a podcast host. I am a writer for Blessings magazines. I am a spoken word artist. I am a poet. I am an entrepreneur. I sell paparazzi jewelry. I am a mother of two. And yeah, just all the other things, because it's too many to keep going.
Yeah. And you guys can find her on Feel Good Talk.
Yes.
So she's the fam. So you can find her on here. And if you haven't found her yet, then like your words, like when you're talking, here's the thing that I love about you. When I listen to your spoken word, I feel like I'm sitting down with a girlfriend who just happens to be like really crazy talented. You know what I mean? Like, you don't come from like an above here or a state of like, oh, I am, like, you're so relatable. And even like just the way that you talk, I just feel like we're just having coffee and then you just busted out with this like monologue, and I'm like, oh man, that's good. So, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what to me makes you really stand out. Why I love listening to your spoken word, because I'm like, it just feels like a girlfriend that's just crazy talented. So so yeah, so check her out. And Laurinda?
So I'm going to introduce myself a little bit differently. I am a survivor of molestation, domestic violence, multiple suicide attempts, stays in mental health institutions. I am a mother of 3 kings. I've had 8 pregnancies, 3 live births. I've been through quite a bit. And that's why I became a transformational leadership coach, because I need people to understand that no matter what you've gone through, no matter how dark your situation is, you can be stuck in the muck, broke, busted, and disgusted, but your purpose is never broke, busted, or disgusted. Your purpose is your purpose. So once you realize that no matter what I go through, where I come from, what my socioeconomic status is, what my race, religion, culture, creed is, I am someone who was birthed with a purpose, on purpose, and that's why I am a transformational leadership coach, a grief recovery specialist, youth mental health first aider, because I know what it is. I know what it feels like to feel like you have an orphan spirit or a Jezebel spirit, to think that everything is wrong with you and nothing is right, and then want to get better, but you don't know the resources. So that's why I am a transformational leadership coach and turned author, turned Lala.
Beautiful. And that's, I mean, and that's why, like Izzi said, the topic in terms of like turning your pain, you know, how do you turn that into purpose? Because we've all been through something. And with, you know, both of you being like life coaches and motivational speakers, and can you speak to why it is important to have someone like a life coach, or to plug into a motivational speaker that you are really fond of? And you know,
Well, I would definitely say one reason for it is to be able to have somebody to pour into you. You need that positiveness to consume what you may be dealing with, in the understand that, you know, whatever the mess is at the moment doesn't mean that it has to continue to be the same mess.
Come on.
You know, you can eventually overcome and transform from your darkest stage into your light. And there's always another and a better side after the traumatic things that we go through. And it's always an awesome thing to be able to step inside your mess and grow through it, and go through it to grow through it.
yep.
Right.
Yes. And I can definitely relate what Sheena said, because if you think about every great person, they've gone through and overcome traumatic experiences. And just think about the value that they've added to the earth. And just think about if every single one of those persons gave up, the contributions that we would no longer have on this earth, the things that we couldn't build upon, the things that you have businesses that have grown out of this. You have books, you have methodologies, and you have theories and different things that have sprung forth from people that have gone through traumatic experiences and used those experiences, those inventions, those patents to make the world a better place. And I can recall, you know, when I'm getting ready to put on a conference, but I'm sitting in my living room and I'm contemplating suicide, and I get on the phone and I call somebody and they say, you know what, they don't judge me, but they say, let's talk about it.
Wow.
If I didn't have that moment, there would be no Heal the City Inc. There would be no Sheep Linked LLC. There would be no need for me to provide a platform for people to tell their stories, because the word says, my people overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the telling of their testimonies. So there would be none of that if I didn't have a life coach that saw the value in me that I didn't see in myself.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's a deeper. Earlier when you were talking about having a feeling of being broken, but knowing that you have like this specific purpose. I remember I was in New York and I was in this beautiful hotel, and I stepped out and I looked up and all the glass was shattered. And I was like, it was beautiful, But at the same time, I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to crack? Like, is one pigeon going to come down and that thing just shatter? But in the middle or on the outside or in the middle, I'm not sure, was a plastic piece that kind of held it together. But at the same time, it was, it was beautiful. And so I had made this quote that I have cracks, but I'm not broken. I've never been broken. The cracks are there. And as a matter of fact, those cracks are beautiful because that one thing that happened to me, there's somebody that needs that. I might run into them at the market. The other thing that happened to me, I might run into somebody on the bus stop. So I started to refer to my pain as being cracks. And we're going to have more cracks. We just can't escape the cracks. And the cracks are going to come from us. They're going to come from situations with our children, our families, our significant others. And so that we are not broken. We just have cracks. We're just like that, the quote with the crayons too, as you see, they still color. They broke in half. How many times have we colored with broken crayons? So, and the colors are vivid and just as beautiful. I just wanted to point that out when you said that. Yeah.
You know what? And I love the fact that you pointed out that we're not broken. We are not. We always tell people they're broken. You're broken. No, they're not broken. The situation is broken.
Right.
Whole and complete. So I love the fact that you brought the fact up that, the situation was broken and not the person. I love that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, like, we have to teach people how to go through, like you're saying, how to go through pain, because everyone's, it's almost like we've been conditioned, going back to the previous conversation you guys were having, you should be living this happy life all the time, and if you're not happy all the time, and if you're not, feeling positive all the time, or everything's going well for you all the time, then there is something wrong. And then there is something wrong, with you fundamentally. But it's like, we have to realize that, like it was said, everyone goes through something. We just have to learn how to deal with it. And at the end of the day, we're not the only ones that go through it. And so that's why I think I love what you ladies do, because by you putting your voices out there and saying, this is what I have been through, then people know that, hey, I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? So, and it seems like a very simple thing, but it's very, very impactful.
Yeah. My next question that I had were you able to see purpose and passion for change immediately? I know I had talked about
no.
Somehow, I know, right? It was just like, that's not the first, and I feel crazy about that, because I don't want to say I'm an influencer. I don't like to say that, but a mentor to certain people, and maybe an influence to certain people who, however people perceive me. I felt bad when I didn't react a certain way to a certain situation. You know what I mean? Like, because I give all this advice and I teach this meditation and all these other things, I always thought that, boom, I'm supposed to have the answer right away. And then the shame part will come to it. Like, I would be like, oh, well, I'm one way this way, and then I'm another way. But when pain hit, I dropped like everybody else. You know what I mean?
We're not robots. And we have to remember that we're not robots, and, that we are human, and we have human reactions. And we teach people how to go through things, but it's different when it hit home, because you have to go through it. Like, when the person tells you about it, they're going through it, and we're mentoring them through it or leading them through it. But when we have to walk through it, it's like we literally got to walk through that mess and face it. Yeah. So it's a lot harder when it comes to us, because I can definitely say when my situation started, going through domestic violence, even having a miscarriage, no, I wasn't okay, and I was questioning everything.
Yeah.
It was like, why? Why am I going through this? Why is this happening? I was frustrated, angry, pissed off, sad. All the emotions came.
Right. Yeah.
I definitely love that, what you said, Shana, because think about it. Who wants to be coached by someone that is not going to have empathy to their situation? Right. And sometimes that I found, most of the times, I'm going to tell you, most of the times, every time God sent somebody to me that was in a situation, he sent them during my deepest trial. And I'm like, God, really? This is what we doing? That's how I knew God had to take me through it. I'm like, I'm going through this. He was like, but if I let you sit in that mess, you're going to stay there. And sometimes I did not feel qualified to help someone through a situation. I'm just going to be real. And what I found out, that I saw the the most transformation and the most change in that person when I say, look, I can relate to what you're going through. And this is how I feel about that situation if I were in it. And when I was going through it, this is how I handled it. And these are some of the doubts and the fears that I had. And that made the most strong bond between me and that person, because now I'm being relatable, I'm being real, I'm being honest, I'm being transparent about how I felt in that situation. But I said, but I still had to keep going. You never throw a butt in someone's face. And I kept going. I was hurt. I was angry, and I kept moving. I wanted to give up, and I went to therapy. And just having those conversations and saying, when I started, I didn't know what I was doing. And I tell everybody all the time, the folks that I surround myself, they're way smarter than I am. They are more books than I am, and they're overqualified. Yet I'm securing myself now to walk with them and say, you know what, I'm feeling this way. I need somebody to pull on. No, we're not going to be ready when we start.
Yeah.
You just start. You're not expected to be perfect. Just be present in that moment and there. People will appreciate that more than anything. They want that connection. So just no, I wasn't ready when the call came, but I answered because I didn't want the whooping that came with it if I didn't. That's
it's true.
Like the biggest things are birthed in that. You know what I mean? Like I've been doing this challenge with Mel Robbins, and it's so funny because you kind of see people in a certain way. I'm like, dude, she got it together. She's balling, blah, blah, blah. And the first thing she said was, during the pandemic, I lost my job. We literally were on the set, and they said that we had to leave. And that was the last time I saw all my friends, all my coworkers. I didn't have work. I couldn't publish my book because it wasn't finished. The anxiety was killing me. Not only am I dealing with the anxiety that I'm dealing with, but my husband, as well as my children, because they are forced to come home and stay in the house with me. They can't be with their friends and go to college. And I was just sitting there and I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Everybody has something that they're like going through. But in that moment, you know, she suffered the pain and she was trying to get everything together. Something was birthed. And it was a quote that she made. And I just find now that I'm following a different journey, a different path of having these mentors and things that are surrounding me that are positive, that if I sit for a minute and I just listen to my heart and listen to what's going on in my heart, the biggest things are birthed from that. I'm sure that's happened to you, Shana, as well as Laurinda and Kendra. And it's like in this pandemic, every time someone comes on this podcast and they say, boom, during the pandemic, I came up with this. I'm like, yes, because this is going to help this shift that we're going through. Every time someone births something, it pushes something back into the universe and gives back and helps another person to heal. So I love to hear these, you know, these stories of healing. Yeah.
And I think also being action oriented, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I love, Laurinda, I think you said it at the beginning, like at some point you have to take responsibility and say, okay, this, and you have to take responsibility in terms of how did I contribute to the situation that I am in? Not saying all times, because sometimes you're in situations that are messed up because people are evil. But, you know, some people are evil. So I'm not saying that. But in other situations, like Laurinda said, it's not the devil's fault. I'm sorry. You know, you made certain decisions that got you here. Understand what that is, and then take some action to change it. But like it was said, if you just sit and just hem and haw and complain about it and, you know, do all that stuff, you're not going anywhere, you know, and life is just going to get continuously worse. So I do want to real quick ask a question to Shana, because she has this beautiful backdrop and she did not mention her book, and you have multiple books. So can you please, she's up here being all modest, but since we're on this topic, you know, and, you know, we're talking about pain and you have your book that's, you know, I'm assuming was birthed out of what you've gone through. So if you can talk a little bit, tell us about your books.
The first book is called The Mask Behind the Mask, which is a book of poetry and spoken words that I put together for people to learn to love all their imperfections despite of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. That was birthed because of domestic violence and having 4 different health conditions. My other book was then the spinoff, which is called Unveil the Broken Pieces of a Mask, where I had to teach people how to break the pieces of their mask and understand who they are, and for them to be able to then walk and take the pieces off of the trust issues, the fear, the insecurities, all the baggages that we tend to take if we don't fix the problem before you carry on yourself into another relationship. So with those books, I compiled it to be able to help elevate, motivate, and inspire people to just be a better version of themselves behind their mask. Because so many times we carry so many faces and we're just not true to who we are.
Yeah.
Well put. And Laurinda, for you, I already know you have a couple of organizations that you are part of and that you own. So can you tell us about, your companies?
Yes. So Heal the City Inc. is actually a personal development. We help people and we give free grief recovery training to folks in need. We deal with domestic violence, rape, suicide, mental health, addiction, low self-worth, low self-esteem. And we get people who are stuck in the muck unstuck. Once you can face and deal with that personal issues, then you can talk about professional development. And so many times we try to separate the two, but you cannot do that. When we work with people, we are in the business of people. And if you're in the business of people, you're going to deal with anger. You're going to deal with pettiness. You're going to deal with undeveloped skill sets at work. And sometimes if I'm a leader that has not dealt with my personal issues, I'm going to take those personal issues to work. And I'm going to, if I'm not accountable to my own actions, if I'm not mindful of my own actions, I'm going to throw how I feel on others. People who are narcissists, people who hurt people, they're just expressing what's on the inside of them outwardly to other people. And if I'm all damaged inside and I go to work and I'm treating somebody like garbage, I don't know what they're dealing with at home. They may go home and commit suicide. And being in leadership, I saw this happen. I saw people, even myself, before I understood what leadership, development, management, what those things really were. And I was impacting people well beyond their scope of time and interaction with me. They're going home and taking things out on their wives, their husband, their children. And people are supposed to live like that. In the grief recovery, we say we are a nation of grievers, and we're compounding grief daily and not dealing with it because of everything that we've been taught. Boys don't cry, men don't cry. Don't tell what goes on in this house. And then they go into a professional setting with all of that stuff bottled up, and they have poor customer service, and that's the least of their worries. So Heal the City helps them deal with the stuff that has them stuck in the muck. And then on the other side, with She Blinked LLC, where it's a professional development as a John Maxwell speaker and coach, now I can talk to you about conflict resolution. Now I can talk to you about interviewing skills. Now I can talk to you about those unwritten rules of the business that we don't teach our kids when they're growing up. You cannot go to work and act a donkey because them people will fire you. You can't go to work and talk to them people like you're talking to me at home because you will be written up. You will lose your livelihood. And we don't have those conversations. So those are what those two organizations teach people. It teaches them to deal with the personal stuff, address it, continually move on, know what your triggers are, and so that you can move on to be a productive citizen in the corporate world and in a small business setting. Because if we had those conversations at home that we should have had at home, we wouldn't see the big disparities between a Chick-fil-A and a McDonald's or a Burger King.
Right. So I want to hit some comments before we keep going.
We have Charles Brakely in the house. He says, "Good evening, ladies." Hi, Charles. How are you?
Good evening, Chuck.
Breon Nichols is in the house. Breon Nichols says, "What's up now, Queens? How are you, Breon?"
What's up, Breon?
Good to see you. William Bird is in the house. Says, "Good evening to all." Hello, William.
Thank you for joining.
Darnell Cubbage says, "Great info. Just wrote a book after 17 years of being a single dad with no help. Thanks for the great information." Thank you,
You're
Darnell.
welcome.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. That's some heavy information. I don't even know where to start.
Well,
I think it's go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
No,
just
I
gonna
was going
say
to say that I'm keying off of what you said in terms of the life skills, because I've got
yes.
20 plus years in the corporate world, and I have seen the smartest people go down because they don't have basic life skills on how to treat people, communication styles, and etc. And that's one thing that I teach, preach, teach, to my son all the time because he's 14. And the things I tell him is, one, you can do hard things. So just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
Two, the other things that I feel that makes you successful in life is learning how to deal with different personalities and those people's soft skills that they're not taught in school. And then three for me is adaptability, being able to adapt in different situations. Doesn't mean that you're selling out. Doesn't mean that you're trying to be, this and trying to be that. But, it's just learning the skills of being adaptable, to change, because change is constant. Right. So I love that you have that mission, because you're right. It's something that we're not taught. A lot of us don't even see it as an example. You know what I mean? So not only are we don't discuss it, we don't even see it. So we just do one mode of operation and then that's it. So yeah, so kudos.
I was gonna say, and to be adaptable and be okay with speaking out for yourself in an appropriate way. You know what I mean? My son finds situations where he's so nice sometimes, and I'm like, dude, okay, listen, that is not right. And it's okay to speak up. And as long as you speak up in an appropriate way and stand up for yourself, it's okay. You're not wrong for doing that. You're not hurting that person's feelings. You just have to kind of, stand up for yourself in those types of situations. Earlier when we were talking about change immediately, I wanted to talk about also, what is your definition of transformation? That word came up for me, and everybody's definition is different. So whoever wants to go first. I see Shay that big smile.
Because it's always funny with these questions. Because transformation is different for everybody. Everybody's transformation is not the same. Because your transformation might be one thing and mine could be another. My transformation, I could say, is from my point of view, from how I transformed. I went from being a person who were settling for certain situations. So as I transformed to now finding boundaries and understanding what I need and what I deserve and what my worth is. And I don't allow anyone to break or interrupt my peace. That is the one thing I will not settle on. And I decided to choose me over anybody. And I will never reluctantly change that besides for my kids. So my transformation for me was being able to go through my situation and grow through it, and then transformed it into being able to use it as a purpose to heal someone else. And I take the acronym HEAL, which is helping to empowering amazing lives, which I use that into my spoken word album. And that's just my mission, being able to help empower people to live an amazing life. Because even though you go through something, not necessarily domestic violence or whatever it may be, you got to be able to transform to live an amazing life, and don't just survive through it. Be able to overcome it, use it for a purpose, use your message, and be able to use your voice, because it's somebody that is attached to that story. So like I tell people when they see my pictures now, that's the glow up from the grow up.
No, that's right. And don't even be ashamed about it.
I can't write this stuff down fast enough. I'm gonna have to go back and push replays so I can write some of this stuff.
Well, I just put in the chat, I hope I put it right, helping to empower amazing lives.
Yes. I love that.
Definitely love that. So when I think of transformation, my sister is on point as always. There's a quote that sums up transformation for me, and I'll go a little bit in, and it's by my girl, Maya Angelou. She said, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty."
Yes.
So if you think about a butterfly, we see this thing with these gorgeous wings and vibrant and beautiful colors. And we're like, whoa, I would love to transform into a butterfly. But transformation is hard. Transformation is ugly. And transformation almost kills you. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And you would have everybody as superstars.
Right.
So I tell the story of a butterfly. When a butterfly, before it gets to a butterfly, it's a caterpillar. But when does a caterpillar become a butterfly? It's always been one.
Right.
It had everything that it needed to fly one day. So when it goes through metamorphosis is like transformation. It's very hard. It actually goes through its life, consuming everything around it, eats it up, stores up that energy, just like we get knowledge. We meet this person, we take from them what we need, throw away what we don't need, and we move into this cocoon. Well, while you're inside of that cocoon, things happen. That can be our trauma. Butterfly, that centipede, that caterpillar breaks down to the smallest molecule. It becomes goop. And if I cut that cocoon open before it's time, that butterfly will not be, because it's now dead, because I've stopped that entire process. It has not begun to build itself back up in that DNA. And then after it's gone through the process, it's gone through restructuring itself, then it comes out as a butterfly. That's what transformation is for me. It's going through our deepest, darkest, stickiest moments to come out somewhat whole. And then after it gets out of that, the wings have to be strengthened for it to fly. That is what transformation is for me. Again, it's our deepest, darkest moments when nobody's there but you, and you're broken to your most simplest form to be rebuilt. And that's what transformation is for me.
Listen, I hope y'all are taking notes. Who's watching this? Between Shana and Laurinda, you will be doing yourself a disservice if you are not right now like this. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna have to go back. There's gonna. It reminds me of going to church. And sometimes you sit in service and you're like, oh, this message ain't hitting me. Like, I don't even need to be here. Like, why am I here? Because I'm not good. Like, Look, that's me every time they do like a marriage thing. I'm single. I'm like, oh, right. At some point in your life, that's gonna come up. So, I hope you guys are taking this and storing it someplace where you can access it, because this is really powerful. I would say for me, I don't even know what to say after those. Like, mine is very elementary. but for me, you should have went first.
You should have went first. That's what I do. I go first.
I know.
When you have powerful women like that, I go first.
I know. It's like coming on after Beyonce and trying to perform. Like, okay. So for me, it's the same. It's the same thing. For me, it's about kind of learning how to shed that fear, and then also growing in skill, putting in that work that you need to transform. Like for me, I always think of, and Laurinda talks about butterfly. I think about David, biblically, because a lot of people look at, can see him at the top as a king, if you know his story, and want to be there. But all the stuff that he had to go through to get there, a lot of people aren't willing to go through, and in that transformation, there is the learning of, okay, there's mistakes made along the way. How do you learn from your mistakes? There are skills gained on how do I learn to deal with people, even if I disagree with them, even if I don't believe what they believe. How can I, so there are these, for me, I'm very technical, more technical than emotional. But, so for me, it's all about how do I learn the skills? How do I shed the fear? That's why I think what you both do in terms of motivation and life coaching is very important, because a lot of people don't have that skill set, and they need someone to coach them through in order to get to that other side. So, that's mine, but,
Yes, ma'am. And I need you not to dim your light, ma'am, because we are on your platform.
Yes.
And it's the of powerful queens.
Yes.
To bring somebody else on your platform. So that speaks to your strength and beauty and your knowledge, ma'am. So I'm just
Thank you.
Thank you for having
We are honored.
Thank you. Izzi?
I guess, well, one thing I want to bring up. So when I think of, I think a song came to mind, and it's by Jenny Aiko, and the one line that says, "All things we're facing make us question it." And to me, transformation is not sitting down and just going with whatever that person told you. You know what I mean? Like I learned, you know, it was like, oh, the pastor said this, boom, that's what he said. That's what it is. Well, question it. You know what I mean? Go, and when I say question, I mean not question authority, but go read yourself. Go read the Bible. Go read the Quran. There's nothing wrong with doing all these different things and trying to figure out what is going on or where they came from, or read your history. I think that's transformation, because in learning these things, you can choose, like you said, what you think is good for you. Regardless of across the board with anything. So I think transformation for me is to find out the truth, your truth, what you believe. Don't believe what everybody else tell you. Do your research and then come up with what's good for you, what's good for your family, and apply it. So that's what transformation.
Nice.
And it's pretty short for me.
Well, let's hit some comments.
We have Jamila J. Choice. Hi, beautiful.
Hey, Jamila.
She says, yes, boundaries. And I'm the worst at finding out like what part of the conversation we were in.
She was agreeing with boundaries, the importance of having boundaries.
And William Bird says, my transformation is end results of transitioning. Nice.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. William also says,
he typed it twice.
Okay.
That's all right.
William Bird says, very good, Izzi. Well, thank you. I get to talking, and I'm like, once we go on, I'm like really into the conversations. Hey, Fatima West says, ladies, Fatima. I love the transparency of your conversation and how willing you are to share. The impact that these conversations will have on so many is astronomical. It's lasting so many it's lasting so many chains of sadness, depression, guilt, etc., that will be broken. And that's true.
I believe that.
For so long, we've been taught not to say anything and to keep things, like quiet. Like for a while, I didn't tell people I was dealing with like PTSD. I had gotten robbed and I was freaked out. You know what I mean? I've gone through so many different things, but this particular time, in this moment, that crime hit me at a place where I was most vulnerable, in a new town, new city, no family. And it just changed my life. I was, always constantly watching my back. And that was a lot for me. Now, most people are like, oh, well, she's crazy. No, I was afraid. It was something real that happened. Somebody put a gun to my face and I didn't know what to do. And it was in a safe area where I worked and I thought that I was okay. So it would happen really fast and it was traumatic. So I think that when we share these things, it opens up a place in a person's heart to feel okay and not feel shamed about what they're going through. So thank you, Fatima, for sharing that information. Fatima West says, courage, strength, and vulnerability. This is true.
Yes. Especially the courage, because it is difficult. I always say that it's hard to swim against the tide, like Izzi was saying. You have so many people you're surrounded with that are just going in one direction, and you just, it's easy to flow right in there with them. But that doesn't mean just because it's easy, just because a lot of people are doing it, that's the right thing to do for you. But it takes courage to be able to say, no, you guys, I'm going to go this way. Because a lot of times when you're going this way, you're going it alone, like Laurinda was saying, like you're going it by yourself. So you got to, figure out the way by yourself and all this stuff. But, not to say you don't have friends and family, but you guys know how it is. When you start to transform, that's when you get people that are like, oh, who she thinks she is? Oh, you think you're all that? Oh, you change. Oh, and all that madness.
We're supposed to change.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not supposed to stay the same.
Exactly. Do you wear the same clothes every day? Don't you shower every day? We change. We're supposed to. It's healthy.
Everything, right? Everything. And when you do this change and when you do these things, I've learned I'm not explaining myself to you.
No.
You know what I mean? That right there brings you down. Listen, this is what I like, this is what I do, and that's just my thing. And you know what I mean? You either respect it or you don't. The more you explain yourself, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. It's like, this is my choice, this direction I'm going in, and I love myself. So go, you know.
And then eventually you get that breakthrough. And then people be like, girl, I knew you were always going to be there. I knew you.
Stop it. And you know,
like, seriously,
that's another topic.
That's another show. And I always believed in you.
No. And they'd be the first person to be like, well, why you do that? Why you do that? Our people don't do that. We don't do that. You're like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to wrap up pretty soon, but I had another quote, and since we were on the transformation, and this is by Wayne Dyer. I always bring up all the wonderful people that I love so much. Transformation literally means going beyond your form. So you're going beyond your form, and you're transforming and going into something that you're meant to be. Like you said, if we stay stagnant, what are we going to do? We're not helping ourselves. We're not helping our children. We're not helping the community. So we have to change, and change is scary sometimes. You know what I mean? That the pain that you go through, and it shows you what you're supposed to do, and you're like, ooh, I really don't want to do that. And then you sit there and you hold it in for what? You know, let it out. Speak about it, write about it, sing about it, write poetry about it, start an organization about it. Even if it helps one person, then you're good to go, because that was meant for you to start this organization to help even that one person. And then that one person may go help 10,000 other. You don't know what direction that they're going to go in. So that was a quote that I wanted to express before. Are we going to go to commercial break first?
Yeah, we can go to commercial, and then we're going to come back. We have some comments.
I was going to say, which commercial is this?
What, you want me to put on your favorite commercial?
No. Go ahead. Just shock the ladies while they're here. Let's.
I'm not. I might put on the wrong thing. So we're gonna go with your favorite commercial. So here we go.
That commercial is the A game. One day I'm gonna get my skills up, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
It's Christmas time is coming. You can get some Christmas lights and put on you, and just go like, you know.
I might just do that video just to shock y'all one day and send it in. That's hilarious. But that is our A game. It is a men supplement for men. And if you're interested, you have to reach out to Chuck. He always has samples for you.
Yeah.
The commercial that I saw last night it was hilarious. I couldn't stop.
The Halloween commercial.
The Halloween one, and it was like
all right. We'll go out on that, because that was a long commercial. I'll put it on the outro. But let's look at a couple of more comments that we have.
Tina West says, "Y'all know I love y'all." Oh, we love y'all too. Her Maryland accent. Sisters, love is so needed. We have historically not been safe place for each other. It's true. I'm feeling like we can do that now, but before I didn't feel like we could do that. I'm overwhelmed with us being beautiful to each other. It is. Don't make me cry, girl. Don't make me cry. We are the new stereotype. The tears are coming. Black women respecting, loving, caring, and covering each other. And this is so true. I'm starting to feel like, like you say, you find your tribe, and you find these people that you can kind of reach out to and be a part of. And whereas though we didn't have that before, now we're starting to realize that we need each other. We really do need each other. on all different levels. There's no time for us to look at, me to look at Shana and be like, oh, she thinks she cute. She got that book out. No.
And Shana's like, yes, I am cute. And I do have the book out and buy it. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Period.
We need Shana.
Exactly.
We need Lala. We all come together. We all have a different purpose. No purpose that each one of us have are better than the other. No. We each are unique in that. Just because you write poetry doesn't mean it's going to be the same way that I write my poetry. I might sing mine and you might dance to yours, like that commercial. So we good. Mateo's Garden. Hello. How are you?
Hi.
Hello. Transformation to me is steps to my healing. Acknowledgement, accountability, apply, and adjustment. When you come to a place of peace, you can own your truth. Then you can make the right adjustment that works for you. I love that. Girl, you better quote that. We need to screenshot that.
That is.
Yes, I love that. Oh my
goodness.
Brand
that like the quadruple A, like, triple A, but just add one more A to that. That is hot. I like it. I love that.
Funny. Yes. Fatima West says, I love Wayne Dyer. Oh my goodness, I love him. His books were a part of my recovery from hardships of life. Yes. My brother, one day I was just in this crazy thing that I was going through. And my brother was like, listen to him. And I would listen to him every single day, all day, 8 hours, my whole entire 8-hour shift. He was in my ear. And the sad thing is I didn't even know he was passed away. I thought he was still living. I was reading his books and stuff, and I had no idea he had passed years before. That's how he's just so awesome. His energy is awesome. So I love him
too. And I see that what's John Maxwell?
Yeah,
I love.
Yeah.
And then my other I cannot in my head. I'll think of him. But here's my point. My point is even if you feel like, oh, I don't know how to get a life coach or a motivational person or whatever. Right now, this is the day and age that nobody has an excuse to not be fed something positive. You have podcasts, you can Google, you can YouTube, you can do all of the things. So just type in, and then if something doesn't hit you right, then try to, go to the next person. But I really feel like there's someone out there for everyone.
Yeah. So. There literally is so much out there that I go crazy. It's like shopping at a mall. Some women are into shoes. I'm into finding like podcasts that I can just like grow off of. And there's I'm like, dude, I'm not going to even live long enough to read all these. That's a lot of podcasts, a lot of books. Tyrone Ricks is in the house. Hi, Tyrone. Tender Life.
What's up, Tyrone?
I know Fatima says she loves that commercial. I love that commercial.
That one grew on me. I started at first. I was like, but now I like it.
So. Yeah, the first one. The first one was it. Tyrone Rick says, "Good evening. Izzy meditates. Kendra Moore, Shana, and he meant to say Lala. He's calling you by your last name. I think he thinks that's your first name."
What's up, Tyrone? Thanks for tuning in.
And Fatima West says, "Covering each other. We have to." Tyrone Rick says, I love my Feel Good Talk family. Oh, we love you too. Tyrone is the man. He is always so supportive of everything that we do. Everybody.
Well, Tyrone, you need to come join over on Shana Gourdine's platform as well.
Yeah.
Yes. You hear that, Ty?
He is always giving like shout outs. And it's like, it's coming from his heart. He's not expecting anything back. So I just love his energy. Mateo's Garden says, I joined at the end. I need to go back and tune in. I missed the great conversation. Yes, for sure. Grab your pencil and pen because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to journal some of the stuff that we talked about and some of the quotes and things like that.
Yeah. And I think that's important, Izzy. Like, don't let this just be entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, this is stuff that the knowledge that you need to pick up. And just like we were talking about the whole show, be active with it. Mm-hmm. Even if it's like start small. You don't have to be like, oh, well, today I'm going to go out and I'm going to do, this big thing. Start small. And once you start small and you achieve that small thing, now you have proof that you can achieve this thing. Now I'm going to achieve something else. And you start building that self-proof and that momentum starts building. And next minute, you're like taking off. So use this, not just, watch it
Yeah. She said
I mean,
she
not
is so
you,
cute.
Mateus and Gardner. I mean, everybody.
I
Go
was about
ahead.
to say, who's cute? Girl, go ahead, snap a shot right here.
I know, everybody. Everybody.
I love selfies. I will take a selfie. William Burr says, we only grow when we grow together. It's
Exactly.
true.
Yeah,
People don't realize that we
absolutely.
are all connected. Everything we do, say, it affects us, everyone in every way. Frederick Beauty says, hi, ladies. Hi, Frederick.
Hi,
Hey,
How are you?
brother.
Frederick. Welcome to the show.
So before we head out, I think, let me make sure if I have one more quote. I wanted to ask our two special guests, what would you like to leave with the Feel Good Talk family? It could be a quote, it could be something from your heart, um, and in regards to pain and turning it into to passion. What would you like to leave with our community? And we'll start with you, Shana.
Garden of Pain, don't let it be a fear of what stops you to move to your next chapter. It's always a new day to start a new one.
Nice. I like that. And what about you, Miss Lala?
I think that you should learn to forgive yourself because that's part of it. And sometimes we hold on to forgiveness like it's our birthright with others, with ourselves. Let go and forgive yourself, forgive others. And one of the quotes that I love is comparison is the thief of joy. I can't do what Shana, Izzi, Kendra does, but I can appreciate, learn from them, and grow from them. Don't be afraid to surround yourself with a smarter group of individuals and sow into that. Sow into them and have them sow into you. And if you're asking someone to mentor you, be specific in what you need. And if you have a gift, rest assured somebody has a need for that gift. So don't doubt yourself.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Did you want to leave something with our Feel Good Talk family, Kendra? Are we going to leave it with or you go with their quotes?
Yeah, I know. I'm going to leave it with this was awesome. Y'all need to rewatch and take some notes. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate both of you ladies being on.
Yes.
This is like, I already had high expectations because I know, Shana from Feel Good Talk and seeing her work, and Laurinda, I, peeped you out. So I was like, oh, these ladies, like I had high expectations, but you both really exceeded my expectations. One with the information and then just with the passion that you can just feel that it's coming from your heart. So thank you for blessing our audience really with your presence. So that's what I would like to leave with.
And you are always welcome. Welcome on our platform. If you have any ideas or anything you want to talk about, let's bring it. Let's bring it to our families and reach out because they need us and we need them. It's good to have this conversation. Frederick, let me put on my reading glasses here. Beatty says, hashtag real talk.
Yeah. That's the last comment, but that's an appropriate comment to leave out on. So you guys, oh wait, let me give you where you can find us at before we jet.
Yes, we are everywhere. 7 days a week. We have something for the family, family oriented. We have, you can find us on LinkedIn at Feel Good Talk, Facebook at Feel Good Talk, YouTube at FGT, Mind, Body, Soul, and Business. We're also on Instagram at feel.goodtalk, and you can email us at feelgoodtalk113@gmail.com. And we have a website. It's www.feelgoodtalk.net. Kendra and I both have our own social medias, which you can find that on our page as well. We will post Shana as well as Lala's information in this actual video once it goes up, and you can actually reach out to them as well. If you're interested in coming on our show, be sure to reach out to us. We also have spots for advertisements, and we love you guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
it's such a wonderful conversation. And there's my heart. Don't laugh, Lala, Shana. Don't laugh. Y'all never been on here. My man hands.
We leave out with a heart. and Izzi is still working on her heart skill.
I cannot do it. I feel like I'm in second grade and I can't make the heart.
Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching and for tuning in.
You.
Love all to the Feel Good Talk family, and we will see you guys next week. All
Love
right,
you guys.
bye.
Bye.